I used to go to the club in all white with a white blazer and a white hat with my shirt open. And she didn't believe me. Another day of sunshine, another day of sun, friends. Here on the Beat the Best podcast, we got my guy, Sean Two-Step Watkins in the building, along with Money Magnum, our special guest today. Money Magnum does a YouTube channel about sports betting. It's fantastic, so make sure you go over there and follow him. Gentlemen, it is spring. Spring has sprung, Juan.
Yes, it has. So thank you for having me. And we got a lot to talk about today.
We sure do. Sean, how's your allergies holding up? Mine are a wreck.
Man, they're doing great, but it's March, and we're not used to seeing 90-degree weather in March, which is what we've been having the last few days. So
It's a small
it's not so
thing.
much not so much my allergies. My sinuses are killing me, so headaches every day, which sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, there's a small
So
thing called global warming that we don't have time to go into the show. But what we do have time for before we hop into our main topic of Luka and the Lakers. Friends, my daughter was busting my chops the other day. My oldest, Mia said, "Dad, send me a picture of you in the 90s. I don't know if you guys have been following that Instagram trend, you know, the 90s, and they show the throwback of our favorite people. And she said, show me a picture of you in the 90s. So I went through my Google Drive and I found an old picture of me, and I think it was 280p. It was barely visible. And she was like, well, what was it like? What was club life like? Because I don't know if you guys know this. These kids, they don't look at the club. They didn't go out like we did. Well, they didn't do it like we did it. Okay. I said, you know
at
what I
all.
used to do? I said, I used to go to the club in all white with a white blazer and a white hat with my shirt open. And she didn't believe me. Now, here's the great part. Of all the people here, Sean actually knows this because he's seen it in action. Friends, these kids don't party like we did in the 90s, do they, Sean?
Not at all. And ladies and gentlemen, it is true. He actually did that. I'll never forget my early days of knowing this guy in the club. The song comes on, he takes off, he's dancing. Just imagine a guy with 6'5" with long arms, with his shirt open, just dancing and having a good time. That is Mr. Betamax 84. So yes. So, but in the 90s, yeah, we actually danced at the club. So what
Danced.
do you know about sweating and taking a break, get a paper towel, wipe the sweat off, and actually get a drink because you're thirsty, not because you're thirsty. You know what I mean?
True that.
So
Hey,
what,
we would be thirsty, maybe go grab an Incredible Hulk or a Tokyo iced tea, which is absurd. Juan, I
yes.
know you were in the streets back in the day. You tell me how it was done versus now.
Let's just say when I grew up, we had party crews in LA, and there were a lot of like ditch parties and just like it. And you know what the funny thing was is like twice a year there'd be a party, a big party like down in Mexico, like past TJ and Rosarito. Without blaming the guilty, which is myself, let's just say all the people that you happen to meet at all these parties throughout the year would all reunite in the same place. So, if you had game, you know how to maneuver there, but it was fun, man. Like you didn't even have to ask people to dance. Some people would be dancing like these girls and we would just hop right in. And they would
Yep.
just pull you. They would just pull you like, you come here. Like
Yeah.
that's how fun it
Yes.
was, man. It
It
was
was a
really
different
fun.
environment, right, Juan? You speak to having game. We had to actually approach women. You know, you got shot down. I got shot down plenty of times. So you had to pick your face up off the ground and do it again. Get out there, dance a little bit, get off the wall, sweat. It was real. And I think what my daughter was trying to say that, Dad, we don't do that anymore because everyone records everything. And I felt sad because everyone records everything now, so they don't have the chance to let loose, Sean. They can't just be themselves and have fun.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, people are so afraid of being politically incorrect or doing something that may seem offensive, which, back in the day, we didn't care about that. We were just trying to get to know somebody. And like you said, we would approach women and, we would win some and lose some. But the other side was women would approach you if they thought you were attractive.
No.
They were not scared. They would come up, hey, what's up, handsome? What's up, cutie? Oh, let's dance. And then it was on after that. It's a different time, but I get what she's saying. It's very scary times. Everybody's got their camera out
Yeah.
instead of actually socializing. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, Juan, dare I say it was a different world. The things I've done, while not illegal, would be reprehensible in today's society.
Pretty much. I remember, yeah, like I said, just going into these different clubs, or even when we were, we weren't of age of drinking, we would find a way. It was the funny part. Like, we just hand some money to some adult to go buy us whatever alcoholic beverage necessary, and we just wait outside, and they'd hand it to us, and we just go on about our way before the party.
Sending that picture and just remembering that time, and there's very little proof of it, is really a trip to tell it to a 19-year-old college student. Like, yo, you don't even know what fun is. So, guys, today's episode 19 Beat the Best podcast. The Luka Lakers legacy is now upon us. Friends, let's recap and rehash how we got here for you Laker fans. Guys, just so you know in the chat, I'm not a Laker fan. I love basketball, all right? I'm a Warriors till I die guy. But the reality is the reality. Let's recap here. Luka ended up a Laker because Dallas was scared of paying him a max contract. They shipped him before he could sign a multi-max deal. Sean, I believe it was 336 or something they were on the hook for.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there,
330, upwards of 330. Yeah.
Okay, and so they ended up shipping him. Long story short, they ended up getting Anthony Glassman Davis, who doesn't even play there anymore, but did get lucky and get a first-round draft pick for the future. And now Dallas is a lottery team again, it looks like, but the Lakers are on the rise. Sean, how good did the Lakers make out for what's going on right now?
Man, they made out like Ocean's 11. So, I mean, they got the bag. They walked out of the casino with the money, and nobody knew what was going on. So that's exactly what happened with the Lakers, man. They got away. And I know throughout the course of the year, it looked a little, when we first got them, and, and then just winning and then the losing and then now the winning. I know it was crazy, but yeah, they got away with murder, if you will, because you got a generational talent who's showing you how good he is. And the real story will be later on when it gets to the playoffs. But right now, yeah, they got away with murder. So that's my take on it.
Juan, Luka gave us a 60-point triple-double this week. Third week of March, I believe. So for those watching later, made my eyes bleed with that win. A 60-point triple-double is gross. When you look at it, Juan, how do you feel like the Lakers did in pulling this deal off, even if they're on the hook for $300+ million for a supermax?
I think they're worried about it because I think that this trade probably was the biggest bank heist since like they maneuvered to get Kobe Bryant, if you remember. The things that were said.
Hold on now. Okay, hold on. Let him cook now. Go ahead and cook.
Well, yeah. Remember, if anybody remembers that story, John Calipari was going to draft Kobe Bryant. He was going to go to the Nets until he was convinced that, oh no, he's not going to go. So, and then we know the story. But this trade specifically for what they had to give up, just Anthony Davis, Max Christie, their 2029 first round pick, the protected pick from the Warriors in 2030, and then a couple of second round picks. It's just unbelievable that Nico Harrison would even do this deal. And there's got to be a story behind that. But the fact that the Dallas Mavericks, it's fine if they were willing to unload a super, and mind you, he's an international superstar. So for coming to the Lakers, which is a global brand, it's just unbelievable. I mean, everybody was shocked. I was blown away. I was at a restaurant with my wife and I said, we just got Luka Dončić. It's like, for who? Yeah, we unloaded Anthony Davis. But I'll tell you, at the time, as construct, just on paper, the Dallas Mavericks getting Anthony Davis, just coming off of finals, by the way, you had Kyrie. You didn't really unload Gafford. And with everything that you had, and then you added Klay Thompson, maybe the gamble could have paid off if everybody was healthy and they could have made a run in, let's say, a window of, let's say, 2-3 years.
Let me interject right there. Yeah. Sean and I talk about this all the time. That if statement is a big problem for me because Anthony Davis's history of being healthy is unmanageable. He's rarely healthy. So saying that really grinds me because we know enough history now that Anthony Davis is really healthy. Go ahead. Rarely healthy, sorry.
it was a huge risk that completely failed. I mean, Anthony Davis only was available for 30 games for the Dallas Mavericks before he was shipped off to the Washington Wizards, which was it just turned out to be a complete fail. Now on the Lakers side, what a gift. You get an international superstar in the beginning of his prime, because I don't think his prime is there yet, although he took him to the finals. And mind you, that the reason was he was out of shape and quote unquote. And, you know, I mean, nobody would have known if, let's say, if Luka Dončić would have stayed with the Dallas Mavericks, would he have changed his ways and been in better shape? And, you know, who knows, right? Kind of like the James Harden theory.
Yep.
You know?
Don't even get me started, Juan. I don't have enough time today to talk about James Harden.
Right. But for the Lakers, this gives them a young superstar for the next 10 years that they can market, they can compete for a title, and they can pair with after LeBron James to try to seek another championship title. They were in talks for a month about this. The upper management, just simply geniuses pulling this off. But the Lakers always do this. The Lakers always find a way to get the star, and they always find a way to swindle you at the same time.
God, Juan, let's pause right there. It's
Facts. That's fact.
The Lakers are a premium organization. The only other premium organizations in the entire league are the Knicks and the Celtics that can pull off trades of this nature. So it always feels like it works out. It feels more like a fleecing than a cooperative trade because the Lakers ended up so right side. Sean, people are talking and saying that, yeah, you guys look great offensively because you have an offensive nuclear bomb in Luka Dončić, but they leave you open to defensive errors. He's not a stopper. He's not a two-way player. He's going to hurt you defensively. He yells at the refs, which were the reasons why Nico had a hard time cutting a $300 million check. Is this a short-term gift or a long-term curse for your Los Angeles Lakers?
Wow, the way you framed it is crazy. Long-term curse? I wouldn't say that. But I wouldn't say a short-term gift either. So somewhere in the middle there. But the thing, we're always talking about two-way players and playing defense. None of the stars are two-way players. We never talk about that until we started talking about Luka. We didn't talk about Steph Curry being a two-way player. We did not talk about LeBron James being a two-way player. We do not talk about KD being a two-way player. But when it comes to Luka, this is what we're doing. What he has to do is give effort, right? So on the defensive end, that's why I think the Lakers will be fine. Now it comes down to Rob Pelinka doing his job and getting more defensive pieces. Because if you look at that Mavericks team that went to the finals, Luka was in worse shape. We can probably agree with that. He wasn't in the best of shape. And he got through a tough Western Conference to get to the finals, right? How did he do that? You know, you got to play some type of defense. He got guys behind him that played defense. You got Gafford. You got Kyrie, who's not a slouch. PJ Washington was with that team.
Yeah.
You know, Derek Lively, who hasn't played, he's with that team. So he had everybody behind him that could move, slide those puppies, play good defense. And that's how they were able to get through the tough Western Conference. They just ran into a better Celtics team that picked on him, and then they didn't know what to do after that. So if the Lakers do the right thing, the Lakers are in the mix. I mean, what? Luka just turned 27. They'll be in the mix the next 5-6 years at least if they do the right thing in terms of getting the right pieces. But you can see right now, they're making more efforts, multiple efforts, and they're playing a lot better. And, you know, hence the 9-game winning streak. So my thing is you just have to get him to try, make an effort, which is what he's doing. And now you see the result. And you got to give credit to the organization. You got to give credit to the coaching staff for getting them to buy in at the right time.
Sean, you mentioned Kevin Durant. And this really, of all the examples you've made, you could have said Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was not a two-way player.
Yeah, true.
Kevin Durant just passed Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. And no one's ever talked about him being a two-way player. Juan, that's a great point that Sean is making. What do you make of that?
Two-way players nowadays, superstar two-way players, are going to be hard to come by. I mean, they're either great scorers or great rebounders or defensive specialists. But in terms of Luka, I think him just giving the effort necessary that JJ Redick is requiring from him, and I think he's done a better job with that. And if we go back to the elimination of the Lakers of last year's playoffs, what did JJ Redick say? championship shape. That was the first thing. He needed to be in prime championship shape. I think I see a better look, a better, more physically. I see Luka much better than when he came in during that trade. I see two different guys there. And then the effort on the defensive end, you're not going to ask him to be a elite defender, but if he can be active, give his effort, and he's doing that. And during the streak that the Lakers are on, I think that he has bought in. And there are other factors that I think JJ Redick deserves credit for.
Sure.
That the Lakers are really making a move here, and they are looking so much better in the past 2 weeks.
When you look at what Luka does defensively, he's not a game changer. We're asking something of someone who's never been known as a defender. You know, my Lord and Savior, Steph Curry, was never known as a defender. And all he does is give effort. I remember in the finals, when they played LeBron's Cavs, they used to run switches so that they would put Steph on, try to get him on the best offensive player because they didn't really like his defense. But Steph would, give an effort and hold his own. So when we're looking at what Luka is able to do, giving somebody 60 is not a game, guys. It's not, I've never scored 60 in my life. I think I topped out at 50 in Australia. 60 points is wild. So the fact that he can give another NBA team 60 while they're on, I believe, a 9-game win streak, 10-game win streak.
Yeah, currently,
I think they beat Orlando the other night. Why you leave the best percentage 3-point shooter on earth wide open for a game is a whole nother concept to me against Orlando.
Right.
Yeah, I got to tell you, in that game, Orlando would have preferred actually getting the foul called on LeBron James and sending him to the line to tie the game. And I believe the Lakers had missed 10 free throws in that game. I honestly believe that LeBron James would have not iced those 2 free throws. I thought he would have missed one, and we'd be talking about a different narrative here. But because there was no call there, he was easily slapped by Pablo Banchero. And then LeBron James cuts to the inside, and they forget about Luke Kennard wide open for that 3. It's genius. It was great.
You guys have looked at
and
Luke
and I wanted to
hold on, Sean. Let me get right to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Luke Kennard's 3-point percentage, it'll make you throw up in a pail. His 3-point shooting is so great. Go ahead, Sean.
No, and I wanted to add, when I watched the play over and over again, it's like you said, Juan, when LeBron gets fouled, they didn't call it. They were worried about him getting that same type of layup again, because he cut to the basket. He took 2 with him. And so then they end up leaving Luke Kennard, who shoots 50% from the 3, which is insane.
It's like 48 points.
Wide
it's absurd.
open.
His 3-point shooting is absurd. It's absurd. But you make it.
He was so open, he was able to fix his arm sleeve before he caught the ball to shoot it. So
splash.
And just ridiculous.
The LeBron James Laker-led era is now crossing over with the Luka-led era, which the sports media, and I don't think we're sports media yet. I think we're on a tertiary. We're not quite sports media yet, but the sports media narrative has been that there's a wrestling match for the Lakers because of LeBron's ego versus Luka's youth and skill set. I don't agree with that. I feel like LeBron has clearly allowed for Luka to take a leadership role, and he's become the third option. So now it's Luka LeBron or Luka Reeves LeBron, which has really led to them winning a lot of games. But is it just the narrative that people like talking about the Lakers in this way, Sean? Or do you feel like Luka and LeBron are actually wrestling for control of this team?
I don't feel like they're wrestling for control, only because I think you've heard LeBron say in the past, he's been doing it for 20 plus years. He's been the main guy. So I think even when they were talking about AD, okay, AD is the guy. It's supposed to be his team, but they couldn't lean on AD to do those things because you got to get him the ball. And then just like you said earlier, AD is not reliable because of his health. So LeBron would always have to be the safety net. And so he would be the safety net and he'd take care of that. Nobody has ever been able to come in and do that. Now you enter Luka, and I think what they were trying to do is because, okay, it's his 23rd year. This is his legacy. We don't want to take it away from him. We want to make sure he's comfortable because he's always been in this spot.
Yeah.
But then they weren't really, they were up and down with it. So now I think two things with LeBron saying, okay, what do I have to do? That conversation changed their trajectory because now he's like, okay, I'm the third option because we got to let Austin Reeves cook because he's been having a great year.
Yeah.
And since they've done that, and since they've come back, he's come back. They've won another 6 in a row, and
Yeah.
so he's been the third wheel. He's the corner guy. He's the guy who's cutting to the basket. Okay, LeBron, if he arguably the greatest player of all time is going to be a third option on a team when he's still averaging 20 plus, 7 and 7 on 50% shooting as a 41-year-old, if he's going to take a backseat, we gotta step up. And I think that's what's helped the Lakers, and that's why they're continuing to win.
Austin Reeves has earned himself a boatload of money when his contract is up. LeBron James, he's an interesting study because we're fighting with the idea and ego of LeBron James with the waning talent, which I think one sportscaster said in his fight with Father Time, LeBron James happens to be winning right now. Some would like to shape it as, two gods holding a lightning bolt in LeBron and Luka, or two guys in the front seat of a Ferrari grabbing the steering wheel. I don't see it that way. Juan, what do you think about that analogy? Is it LeBron's ego versus his skill set, or do we just have to concede the future to what Luka is going to bring to the Lakers?
I think that they see as the LeBron era over and the Luka era beginning. That's the way the Lakers see it. Now, from LeBron, I mean, I'll tell you, I give a lot of credit to LeBron in this and what a lot of alpha superstars do not do. If you would ask Kobe Bryant at age 38, for example, to be the third option, he would have laughed. If you'd ask Michael Jordan to be the third option, he would have laughed. Allen Iverson, for example, for a while, didn't accept being playing off the bench. Even Carmelo Anthony, he was about to be written off the league when he scoffed at the fact that he was coming off the bench at Oklahoma. So, but yeah. So
hold on, Juan. Let me ask you a
I
question.
think-
Are you saying, hold on, are you saying how dare we ask LeBron to be a third option, or are you saying he's gracefully taking on a different role?
No, I'm saying that he's gracefully taking on that role because very difficult. I think it had to be a little bit of a process for LeBron. Mentally, he might have resisted, or maybe he just didn't know on the adjustment part of what JJ Redick was asking in the beginning, and he couldn't help himself maybe. And that contributed to maybe the Lakers being around 500 in the beginning. But then a couple games where he was out due to injury, you saw how the team elevated its game and played. So now LeBron saw that, as smart and a talented player that he is, and so he goes to JG. They probably have a conversation and say, how can we keep this going without myself being an impediment to the offense and to the entire system right now? And, right now, LeBron taking fewer shots, being more efficient, playing off ball. He doesn't have to exert himself. Yes, he's in great shape at 41.
Superhuman shape. Superhuman.
Yeah, I mean, he's spending millions of dollars on his body, but he's still 41. You still get the knicknacks. I mean, look, I'm 45. It hurts to get out of bed.
Looking good, young sir. Looking good, young sir.
Yeah,
looking good.
I'm trying to, man, Father
Yes,
Time.
sir.
I'm losing, but I'm trying to close the gap, But LeBron, I understand he's got it. There's some things he might have figured it out, and this is just one factor of why the Lakers are doing well.
Let me jump in here. I love numbers because numbers gives you an idea of what's actually happening. Luka this year, for those who don't know, 33.5 points per game, 8 rebounds a game, 8.5 dimes a game. That is absurd to give that kind of effort on a nightly basis. On any other night, if you pin these same numbers on any other human being, we will be talking about an MVP season. Okay? The fact that we're not shows the media bias against the Lakers. The Lakers are 45-23. They're third in the West. Third.
Yeah.
Everyone thought there was a hole in the boat, Sean. Go ahead.
It's the Lakers. Everybody's spoiled. So if you've been around long enough, you remember the Showtime Lakers. That's when I first started loving basketball. I was 8, 9 years
What a
old when
time
they
to be
won
alive.
their first championship. Yeah. So I watched all those championships. And then you had a little lull when Magic retired. And then all of a sudden we got Shaq and Kobe. So we get another 3. then Shaq leaves. You get a little lull, and then Kobe and Powell get 2.
Yeah.
So we're spoiled. Everybody's spoiled with the Lakers being so good that when they get a generational talent like Luka, who's putting up these MVP numbers, it's okay. They always do that, which is unfortunate.
Sean, that's what you just said. My brain understands. It's crazy town. You could pin these numbers on anybody. If Kevin Durant was giving you 33.5, 8 and 8, we'd be like, KD's, he's a monster. He should be MVP.
Right.
But because it's Luka, we kind of turn a blind eye. Juan, am I bugging?
No, but Luka today gets to sit at the same table as Shea and Wemby for MVP right now, just in the conversation. In the conversation.
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay,
I totally agree.
let's be clear there. The other thing is what's probably going to go against Luka in even winning the MVP is the fact that the Lakers were hovering around 500 for most of the season. So I think that's going to play against them.
Hold on,
Oklahoma City has been.
It's an 82-game season. How you end up, how you got there. You can start 12-0, lose 12. How you finish is more important than how you begin. You're saying they're being judged poorly because of how they started the season?
I think it's going to be tough for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. The body of work. If you're saying it's an 82-game season, then the reporters that are voting for the MVP are probably going to see the entire thing and not going to see the last 3 weeks. I mean, unless he's averaging 40 for the next couple of weeks, he's going to win the scoring title, I think. But they're not going to reach San Antonio for the 2 seed. I think it's going to be very difficult. And Wemby's impact has just been phenomenal. And then
Juan,
Shea,
we can't even go. We can't even.
That's
go
what I'm saying. So
we don't even talk. Okay. So when you say that 33.5 points a game, by the way, the first thing I think to my mind is that Jordan averaged 37 points per game one season in 1988. I can't get that out of my head. Like 37 points per game is crazy. So here's our last question.
He only averaged taking 1 or 2 threes a game. He only averaged 1 to 2 threes a game.
And the hand-checking rule, by the way. The defenders could hand-check.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so here we are. We're at the end of 2026. Luka has a chance to sign his player option at the end of 2026. I believe we need to know what LeBron's going to do at the end of this year as well. Sean, short answer. Does Luka re-sign for his player option and LeBron re-sign for another year, a 1-year deal with the Lakers?
I'd probably say no. I'd say Luka's going to sign. I don't think LeBron can sign. I don't think he can, unless he takes a lot less than what he's making. Of course, I think he's making $50 million. He's got to
56,
take a huge pay cut, and he's got to take a huge pay cut and sign a 1-year deal. It's got to be like how Jordan was near the end of his career, 1-year deals only. And if LeBron decides to do that, then you could see that. Luka's definitely going to sign. He's not going to go anywhere. They're gonna back the Brinks truck up and give him the dough. So he's got to take it. He'd be a fool not to. So
does Luka re-sign his player option, and does LeBron stick around, or does LeBron go back to Cleveland? What do you think's going to happen here?
Okay, in terms of Luka, I say yes, he does re-sign. But I just don't see a scenario where he's going to test the market. The second thing, LeBron is a big question mark, and I think it's going to be contingent on 2 things. One, how well Cleveland does this year in the playoffs, because he's got to be able to tell himself, am I the last piece of that championship for Cleveland? That's number one. And the second thing is what Giannis is going to do. I think he waits until Giannis is likely, if he's traded, by the way, let's say hypothetical, he's traded to the Lakers.
Yeah.
LeBron could look at that as like, oh, I'll sign a 1-year deal, sign, for less money, try to get some more pieces there, and he could still be a part of a title.
So Luka definitely re-signs his player option.
Yes.
And you're saying LeBron is looking to put himself in a championship scenario on his way out, or does he go to Cleveland just for the love of the game?
No, I think there's only 2 options for LeBron. It's either Cleveland or LA. I don't see any other team in the mix here. I think he either goes back to Cleveland, where he probably, if he announces retirement, he'll do that with the aspirations that maybe Cleveland could get to a title through the Eastern Conference. Or you got to understand, the Lakers not only have LeBron off the books, they have Austin Reeves off the books as well. He is a free agent as well.
They're gonna. That's not even a question. They're gonna re-sign him.
Right. I think they're gonna re-sign him. Now, if they have the utmost possibility of trading for Giannis, well, we won't know that. But I think LeBron, he's going to be contingent on what Cleveland does in the playoff run this season, and he could look at himself and say, maybe I can go there and find a title, and I can retire there, or he returns to the Lakers for one more year, thinking he could play beyond one more year.
Interesting. I don't agree with either of you.
Then what happened?
Every team is going to go after Luka. Okay. Luka can make the most money. So I lied. I do agree he's going to re-sign with the Lakers because they can pay him the most money and he has a player option. I think LeBron comes back. LeBron's too deep into business and to entertainment in Hollywood. He's not leaving LA again to go be somewhere else. LA is the hub of America for making deals happen outside of New York City. He doesn't leave. I don't even think he's going back to Cleveland. I think he resigns for a 1-year deal and he stays his happy ass right in LA. That's what I think. I think the Lakers will also re-sign Austin Reeves because if they don't, they'll be held to pay because that boy is cold-blooded. And I think the Lakers are going to be a menace in the Western Conference for the next 5 years. That's what I see. Sean, last words before we get out of here.
Yeah, I would just have to say I would agree with that. I think that's the best option for all parties involved. I think the Lakers and Luka have definitely won that trade. They're going to be good for a long time, barring something insane happening, which could happen. Rob Pelinka, if you're listening, do what you're supposed to do, because if you don't, I'm coming to get you.
Threats from Sean to Rob Pelinka.
I'm telling you,
don't pull a Nico
you know
Harrison,
how I
man.
feel about Rob Pelinka. You know how I feel. I'm like, he's the luckiest guy in the world because he's been subpar in my opinion. I mean, but he's made some great deals and he got lucky, but yeah. So that's my thing. So Lakers, as long as they do the right thing, they'll keep this train moving.
Agreed.
Last words before I get out of here from Magnum. What do you got?
Okay, so I do agree with Sean that the Lakers have an opportunity window here to win the title, but it's going to be difficult because, in my opinion, I think OKC are ahead of schedule and San Antonio are coming fast, and Wemby still hasn't figured it out. And I'm telling you, we might see a scenario where OKC and San Antonio are going to be trading Western Conference titles here, and the Lakers need to find a way to break that. And that is going to be very difficult, but they do have a window, but it's going to be really hard. But Luka is definitely going to be the cornerstone of what the Lakers are going to do in the next 5 years. I agree with that.
Fantastic take. To piggyback on your point, man, OKC, I feel like is a fine lasagna that's still cooking in the oven, but boy, oh boy, are the San Antonio Spurs on a Ferrari on the Autobahn coming right in your rearview mirror because they are scary. Guys, the Lakers are going to be here for a while. As long as Luka is able to give you 60 with his eyes blinking in the starlights of LA, he's going to be a formidable problem. For Juan, for Sean, this has been the Beat the Best podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.